Welcome to Two Woke Bonnets, a podcast where we revisit the classic TV shows of our Gen X childhoods and see how well they hold up today. With your hosts, Carol and Joey.
Hello, and welcome to Two Woke Bonnets. This is season 1, episode 8, Ma's Holiday.
Woohoo! Ma's going on a holiday.
Doesn't really want the holiday, but she's gonna take it, dang it. So we don't get any guest stars in this episode at all. Matter of fact, we see one townsperson, and that is Nels.
That's correct.
Mr. Edwards, which I don't consider him a townsperson. I consider him like a semi-regular at this point.
We see Grace Snyder very briefly.
Yeah.
So we open up with the scene of Ma, Pa, and the kids, the girls, eating dinner, and everybody's looking at Ma and giggling. Nothing like that to make you paranoid in a one-room house.
That's not suspicious at all.
And then turns out Pa's got a trip he's got to go on to the ever-popular Mankato. And
pick up stuff for Nels.
Yep. Pick up stuff, drop stuff off for Hanson, pick up stuff for Nels. And it's going to be a week-long trip from Monday through Saturday, right?
Yeah. And he decides he's going to take Ma with him. This is going to be their second honeymoon.
Yes.
And
she says, who's going to take care of the girls? First, you start to think it's Pa going to leave the girls alone, because Lord knows he did that enough in the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, and Mary is immediately like, we can handle it. But no, he has spoke to Grace Snyder, and she is supposed to come and watch the girls for the week. Except the day that he's supposed to leave, he goes to pick up Grace, and when she knows, she's got a real bad throat cold. I just don't think she wanted to watch the girls. She thought about Carrie. And she's like, oh God, I don't think I can handle a week of that child. I'm sorry, Charles.
Grace Snyder, played by Bonnie Bartlett.
Yep.
She got her 5 lines in, so she's getting residuals for this episode, but that's about it. And she says, can't you put the trip off? But no, Mr. Oleson needs his stuff. So
flower. So he goes, Pa goes home to tell Ma that the trip's off and he can't take her. And she's like, well, it's for the best. And then wouldn't you know, who comes walking along for no reason at all?
Old Dan Tucker's a fine old man. Yeah, he never even comes over to say that he has a reason why he came over. And again, we have pointed out before, this is not down Main Street. There are not 3 houses after his. This is people the road only leads to their yard.
Yeah. So Mr. Edward shows up for reasons, and the girls are like, you can watch us, Mr. Edwards. Well, now don't just tell me one at a time what you need me to do. And they're like, Pa wants to take Ma on a trip, and Miss Grace Snyder can't watch us, and will you watch us for the week? And I don't know about that.
But Grace Snyder, his little girlfriend here. It's not. At first, I thought it was going to be that she had sent him.
Yeah,
But no, he doesn't seem aware that Grace A was supposed to be watching the girls, unless he was coming over for some canoodling.
Oh my gosh, maybe he was coming over because he thought Grace was going to be there, and it would be a chance for them to do it in a different place.
That's
right. Maybe Oh, ew.
But it's never made clear why he came over there.
But he agrees to watch the girls, and Ma is less than thrilled with this.
Yeah, she literally is trying to give the knowing look. We definitely got the knowing look in this episode. Mark your bingo card for that, because she's
old man Tucker.
He is and the old man Tucker, because she is shooting daggers at Pa, saying, Charles. There was so much inner monologue Charles on this episode.
No outer, but inner, definitely.
But Pa in the tight pants are like, waka waka, this is our chance.
It's our second honeymoon.
Before she has a chance to say no, he takes her bags and just throws them in the truck. And it's like,
Just riding away. Just come on,
let's go.
We're going. So,
And he promises her if she stops worrying, he'll get her a hat. Because, yeah.
Because that's what all women want, just pretty hats. You know what? I actually do like a good pretty hat, actually.
I do.
So they're on their way to Mankato. And Mr. Edwards is watching the girls, and he immediately
First day's fine.
First day's okay because Ma left supper.
Yeah, she left the meals for the day.
But he is ill-equipped to handle Carrie.
Yeah, he's very ill-equipped. But the girls show him how to put Carrie to bed.
Yeah.
But don't read him a story the first night. I'd like to point that out.
Yeah.
And then he says, okay, girls, you need to go to bed. And they're like, well, can't you tell us another story? After he's telling them stories about him being stuck under a tree and being Sitting Bull.
And being named Sitting. Oh, yeah, we get some racism here.
Some tall tales. Get some tall tales.
Tall tales, and also some Native American, systematic racism here, because he calls them savages.
Yeah.
And they named him Sitting Bull, which, yeah.
He asked them first if they'd ever heard of Sitting Bull.
And Mary lies.
Said no. Yeah.
Mary straight up lies to him.
Yeah. Can we just call that out a little bit? Yeah, she sure
lies
did.
quite a bit here.
Yeah. So, can I just say this is probably the best Jack gets to eat all week, though?
Because Carrie's feeding him under the table, and Mary's telling her no. And he's like, what? He's Mr. Edwards is fine with it. As a matter of fact, he lets Jack clean the plates.
Right.
And that's how he cleans the plates.
Because Carrie won't eat dinner when it's Ma's food.
Yeah. So
but then she wakes up in the middle of the night, the first night, and he goes and reheats the supper because he's put it back on the stove because that's healthy.
Yeah.
And then she falls right back to sleep. And so Jack gets another meal again.
Jack probably gained 5 pounds this week. This day, because after this, it's all, we don't know what they eat after the second meal, unfortunately.
You think they would have filled up on bread, because we see bread clearly on the table.
A lot of bread on the table. But, thought that Ma being Ma, she would have had stuff set aside.
Yeah.
We didn't have okay, I have
even with Grace, if Grace had been watching, she would have had stuff set aside.
Grace doesn't have children.
No.
So she would have put stuff aside. But no. The next day he doesn't get the girls up early enough, and they have to run to school because they're late. And incidentally,
so they don't do their morning chores.
Yeah. Incidentally, that first supper, nobody ate their supper. Their plates are full when they're done.
I was like, that just doesn't seem like something that happens on the prairie.
Yeah.
So,
but they don't get their morning chores done. They have to run to school, and Mr. Edwards is stuck with Carrie, and he's doing laundry for some reason.
Did she pee the bed?
Did
he pee the bread?
Did he pee the bed?
I
don't know, but he's doing sheets, so I don't know.
Somebody did
something, but he can't keep track of Carrie, because Carrie.
Well, first she pulls the sheets down, and they play this game.
Yeah, and he has to rewash them, and then he loses her.
Yeah,
and he's searching everywhere, and finds her under the bed, and then he ties her to a tree. So
he doesn't find her under a bed then. The first. Was that when he found her?
Yeah, because he's searching the outhouse and the barn, and he finally searches the house, which should have been his first place to look, and he sits on the bed, and then she pokes her head out and goes, "Boo!"
I think that's the second time though, because that's when he was trying to fix the roof. The first time was she kept pulling the sheets down, so he ties her to a pole.
He ties her to the tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and then he decides to take her with him to go hunting. Him and her and Jack.
Brilliant job.
And after Ma has yelled back, one of the 47 times she yelled back warnings as they're leaving. Something about don't
rattlers.
Beware of the snakes in the grass. Yep.
Are there rattlers in Minnesota?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. This is one of our first technical goofs that we see in this episode. And I noticed that IMDb didn't even mention it. But Jack starts running down the hill and then he stops and he starts barking. And Mr. Edwards is like, "What is it, boy? What is it, boy?" And then we see the rattlesnake. And then you see Jack barking and lunging. But if you look to the left in the grass, you see the chain because they didn't want him moving out of the scene. And then suddenly he's running down the hill with Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Edwards shoot him, and we get Injun stew.
Yeah.
Second racist thing. So
Yeah.
but it's rattlesnake stew.
Rattlesnake stew. Which
smells awful.
It tastes like chicken.
Like chicken.
It
It really does.
It really does. It doesn't
now,
taste
it could be that Mr. Edwards is not a good cook.
That could be. And
it could be
I'm assuming he put a lot of pepper in it because Mary seems to be having trouble speaking after eating one
But
bite.
if you notice, Carrie is just chomping on it.
So
she did well.
Screw mom's cooking. She wants Mr. Edwards to cook rattlesnake every night. But the girls are like, ew, we'll eat one bite. We had cookies and a big lunch.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the night, we get sleep bonnets.
Well, and we also get Mr. Edwards. We find out Mr. Edwards can't read.
He can't read because he can't read Carrie the three little bears.
Which they didn't read her a story the first night, but evidently tell her a story the second night. And then, like you said, go ahead.
Play later on.
It does.
It does. I think with when well, we'll get to it when we get to
here's the thing though. And we forgot to mention in the last episode, I'm sorry. We did have lemon verbena in the last episode. Anyway.
Verbena here because when he shows up at the Ingalls, he tells Laura, "You reek of lemon verbena."
Yeah. Because she just loves that stuff. But yeah, so the thing that's interesting is that Mary talks about the fact that he can't read like it's some kind of revelation. But think about it. When he was courting Grace Snyder, he had Laura fill out the cover of the envelope.
Yeah, and didn't write anything on the pages.
Yeah, so we already kind of knew this.
Yeah.
But Laura, so evidently, Bot and Mary is a little dumb today again.
She's as dumb as the episode needs her to be.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the night, they realize, oh my God, we didn't gather the eggs.
Because evidently eggs will spoil, which in truth, they will not.
Yeah.
The only thing that would happen with the eggs is they may, if the hens sit on them too long, it may cause them to hatch, but that's a different type of egg.
That's a different type of egg.
But anyway.
But they get up in the middle of the night in a pouring down rainstorm and go out and collect the eggs.
And light a match, do all the things they were told not to do.
They're not supposed to do. And Mr. Edwards wakes up and hears the chickens.
Yeah.
Walking and thinks it's chicken thieves. And he grabs his gun. Seriously, you don't want to leave this man alone with your children. Grabs his gun. There's only one thing for chicken thieves. And as he's going out the door, they come in the door and they startle him and he shoots a hole in the roof.
In the middle of the rainstorm.
In the middle of the rainstorm. Doesn't wake up Carrie at all. I guess that rattlesnake put her to sleep. She was out. That did not even faze her.
No, it's not phased whatsoever.
The next day, he's fixing. This is where he loses Carrie the second time and goes searching everywhere for her and finds her under the bed because he's fixing the roof.
Yes.
So Charles won't know that he blew a hole in it.
Yes, because so he actually does some work in this episode, unlike some other episodes we've seen.
Yeah, where he lets everybody else do the work. But he nails her to the roof. Nails her dress to the roof, so he can't lose her anymore.
Because that will keep her safe.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
that dress ain't gonna rip. I mean,
yeah, the rope that you used to tie her to the pole would have been fine. Tie it around your waist and her waist.
Because she's sitting on the edge of the damn roof. It's like, if she falls, that nail isn't going to keep her up there. It's just going to rip.
Again.
Meanwhile, back in Mankato, Actually, we get a nighttime scene where they camp on their way to
Because it takes
Mankato.
more than one day to get to
Yeah.
Mankato, clearly.
And
2 days to get there and 2 days to come back. So
here we get Ma showing some skin.
so when you first see her, all you see is bare shoulders and arms and this quilt over her.
Yeah.
And it's not until you move her hair that
That
you
you see-
realize there's straps.
There's straps. Paul, meantime, has still got his damn suspenders on. He's fully
Yeah.
clothed.
He's fully clothed. And she's outside in sleeveless.
Yeah. So Ma showing some skin. And I may say Karen Grassley has beautiful hair.
Yes.
I'm jealous of her hair. Yeah, so when they get to Mankato, he does go to buy her a bonnet. We get to the
It was an ugly bonnet. It was,
God.
I thought the one she had on, the red velvet one, was much prettier than the one that they were looking at.
And I don't know where she would have worn this bonnet. I mean, to church.
Yeah. And it's $2.50.
Yeah.
$2.50 for this bonnet, and he was going to spend that on her.
Yeah. And Pa's like, "Ugh."
But he was like, go ahead. It's supposed to be frivolous. You're supposed to get it. But he was like, yeah. And they go have the fancy dinner.
Well, wait a minute. We get the lady coming into the store. This is
Oh
our
my
first
God,
insane
yes.
scene, because this lady comes into the store and goes, have you seen my daughters? And the store lady's like, I haven't seen them today. They done ran off again. Just let me know if you see them. And Carolyn's like, well, I hope she finds them. And the store lady's like, she won't. They died. She left them alone. She left them alone and they died.
In a lightning store. In a lightning store.
And Ma's like, I don't want this bonnet anymore.
I can't think about it now.
So they immediately leave, and then they go get dinner, which is, Pa's like, doesn't hold a candle to your cooking, and the portions are really small.
Yeah. For what they're charging, you would have thought.
But they seem to at least enjoy the food. But then they go to the theater. And you would think Pa would actually look at the title of the play before buying the tickets, but no, does not look at the title of the play. And he buys her tickets to Abandoned Daughters.
So this is interesting because he says that he was talking to the guy down at the pier, and the guy down at the pier said it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. Which, like, guys at the pier maybe not couth enough for Ma's taste anyway. But then when the woman who is standing in front of the placard moves, you find starting tonight.
Yeah.
So Pa just, if he had checked, he would have realized the title was different.
Something, a different play was starting, but it's Abandoned Daughters, and just, it's this melodrama, and Ma's just weeping in the gallery.
Like, Ma, why would you leave us? Because I don't.
City.
You promised Pa that you would take care of us after he died.
I must go to the city and get,
Can we just talk about that too? Like, where were Ma and Pa sitting in this episode?
I know.
They were sitting up in a box seat.
Yeah.
And you see these rows of other people, and none of them are laughing. And once again, I just don't think this would have played well in the West. But like Ma and Pa talk about how expensive the dinner is, and yet he just says two please. He doesn't say your two best seats. He just says two please, and somehow they end up in the box seats.
Yeah. And so they leave mid-play because Ma is uncontrollably crying.
And he says, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the middle of the night she wakes up coming because she's having a dream about the girls. And here Pa is shirtless. So
but she's in long sleeves.
She's in long sleeves. So.
She's in long sleeves with lace up to her neck.
Yeah. And
then he thinks so. Literally, I don't mean to correct you, but that scene happened the night before they went to the
was it?
Play was 11. Yeah.
Okay. That was when he decided they were going back.
No, because the next night he says to her as they're leaving the theater, we'll go back.
We'll go back. Okay, we'll go back in the morning.
No, this was the night between. So they have one night out in the stars. She's wearing a sleeveless nightie because out in the stars is evidently when you
When you
disrobe,
show some skin.
when you show some skin. Then they get into town in the fancy hotel room, and she puts on the thing up to her thing, and she gets up in the middle of the night thinking that Carrie's crying for her, and it's not. And then she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you." And he gets the, "Do you want to bow chicka bow bow?" in his eyes, and she falls right back to sleep.
Hey, you know, the
And
woman
then he
probably,
tries one more time to romance her and take her to the theater, thinking if he can get her laughing,
yeah.
laughter is sexy. And then it's, "Oh, Mom, why did you abandon
Why did
us?"
you abandon us? So they
So
leave the next morning. They come home a day early.
yeah.
Um,
So once again, total misnomer. This is not a holiday for Ma whatsoever.
no.
And
Um,
then yeah.
and then
So
Laura is selling the eggs to Nels. She only has 9 because they dropped eggs all over the place when they were trying to get them out of the coop in the middle of the night. She only has 9, and then Nels is like, "Well, looky there, there's your mom and dad coming back," and she's like, "Oh no, keep them here!" And she goes running home because they're not ready for them to come back.
right.
And Nels does a good job of this. He's like, "I really need that flour that's at the bottom of everything." Oh,
I
was that
know.
pudding?
Why would Ma want to go, like how many times his Pa, when he's running back to the house, stopped?
Yeah.
I mean, when he bought those horses, the one episode, like
Mhm.
he thinks nothing of stopping in town. So
Yeah.
why is he gonna like, why
Drive her
would he be
home.
like, let's just get rid of this, collect our money, and then we can go home and
Yeah.
you'll see
And
everything's
everybody will
fine.
be happy. Yeah.
But anyway,
But yeah, so Laura runs home and they frantically clean the house. And Isaiah has finished the roof and he's playing with Carrie and the girl. Oh, this was the day before. They come home from school and he's playing with Carrie. And he's doing, Carrie's on his back and he's pretending he's an animal. And the girl's like, "Can we join too?" And they all get on his back and he wrenches his back.
throws his back out. Yep.
Throws his back out. So he's useless while they clean and scrub and, put Carrie in a clean dress because she's probably been living like a filthy animal for 3 days. And um, and then
It's
mom,
rather a mess several times in the
yeah,
episode.
you
So
get a lot of close-ups of Carrie in this episode, a lot of close-ups. And then mom and pa come home and they're like, "Oh, everything was fine. Nothing went on. Nothing went wrong at all. Everything was peachy keen." And Mr. Edwards hobbles his way home.
yep. He said something about going to get a clean shirt, but he never actually put one on. And
No.
dang it, Caroline, why aren't you sewing up the man's shirt?
Yes.
Him.
I mean, come on.
Like,
Now you just watched your kids for a week. Do a little bit of sewing for him.
yeah, something. So
Um,
Karen's really the problem child throughout this episode. That's probably the most Carrie gets to do. She does say 3 lines. She says, "I will," about being good. She does say "mommy" at one point, and then when they said, "Are you going to be a good girl?" say "good girl," and she says "good girl."
that's
So
a boo.
yeah.
She came out from under the. Here's my problem with this episode. We have established that Mr. Rogers had a wife and a child. Why is this so hard for him?
Because literally he must have let the wife do everything.
Everything?
Everything.
But yeah, this is just like he seems completely clueless as to how to manage a girl, but we have established that he had a daughter.
But he picks Carrie up and the 3 girls love him to death.
Yeah.
Like, so clearly he's been around them, they trust him. And we had that previous episode where Laura was sick and he was like, "Why aren't you getting the doctor?" So
Yeah.
he knows what to do.
Yeah.
To a point.
But here he seems completely clueless about, I mean, you would think at the very least he would like, well, maybe rattlesnake stew isn't appropriate for little girls.
Yeah.
But again, Ma had to have put some food back. I can't believe that she would leave Grace with no food in the house. And what was Grace going to do? Go hunting?
Yeah. Like there's a lot.
It's comedy. It's a funny episode. It's supposed to be a
Yeah.
funny episode.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Ma because her holiday.
It was not Ma's holiday. Let's
No.
just be very clear.
It was
This
Mom's
was
breed.
Pa's attempt to get a little woohoo.
Yeah. And you
Because
know what?
Yeah.
If Ma's going to have a holiday, she's going to want to sleep. She's going to want to sleep. The woman is shown, helping him saw wood in the previous episode. She does everything in the house. They don't seem to be farming at all, so I don't know if they have a crop. But yeah, this was hardly a holiday for her. And I have another note here, and I cannot make out my horrible handwriting. So I thought something else at this episode, but I don't know what it was.
So I will say that Carrie was a problem child of this one.
Yes.
We do get one of our outhouse jokes.
Yep.
We don't see the child running to the outhouse, but we do get an outhouse joke because that's where he's like, Carrie, are you in there? And then he checks around. So we do have a lot of that. We don't have any real guest stars. We have the two women at the hat shop, and then just background actors. But the play has an interesting bit of trivia for it. So the voices that you hear, if you started feeling very do, that would because the voice of the children was done by June Foray. June Foray, very famous voice actress. Yeah. She did Rocky the Squirrel and Rocky and Bullwinkle. She also did Natasha Fatale, and she also did the Chatty Cathy doll, and she also did the Twilight episode with the creepy doll.
Yeah.
So June Foray. So if that voice sounded familiar to you, that would be why.
I was talking to you.
And as far as I could tell, June Foray, not a Gunsmoke or Bonanza, but voiceovers. So yeah, so that's my thing. So no shirt off with Charles. We get to see
he did have a shirt off for that second night in the
yeah, when she had all the clothes on.
Yeah. She laced up when he laced down. So and vice
you
versa.
do have Ma crying because she thinks she's terrible with the kids. And
we had let me see here. Let's see my marks. Let's see. Someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
Edwards got hurt. Ma cries. We don't know if Grace's fever ever broke, so we don't know if someone's fever breaks. Laura gets in trouble because they light the lantern when they're not supposed to light the lantern. Lemon verbena, because she reeks of lemon verbena. Mom and Pa definitely share many knowing looks. 2024 unwoke moment with every mention of Native Americans.
Yeah.
Carrie speaks.
Yeah.
Pa has no shirt on.
At least once.
Nightcaps are worn.
Yeah.
And wrenched. I almost marked someone dies because that woman's daughter's died, but I didn't mark it because it's not someone that was related to the episode. Edward sings
Old Man Tucker.
But there's no Charles, and Pa doesn't cry. Ma cries in this episode. So
yeah. So depending on which episode of the bingo card, because there are 30 different versions, you may have gotten a bingo today.
For mine, I came close, but I did not get a bingo.
There was justice for Jack for sure, because he got lots of extra stew.
Hampered in this episode.
Although it's very clear that the several dogs that impersonate Jack do not look alike.
Yeah, they don't look a whole lot alike.
It's just like, this is a dog, so this must be Jack. So
I'm trying to find the episodes because I can't remember what episode comes next. I should have had this pulled up before. Where's the episodes?
Stay with us next time, where we're going to be watching episode 9. And that will be
episode 9, which, oh God, I don't want the whole
School Mom, where Carolyn becomes a teacher for a little while.
Yes.
And then the episode after that will be the raccoon.
Oh, that's the rabid raccoon one. Yep.
Yep. So we've got School Mom coming up next. You get to see Caroline in action, because we were told she was a teacher before she got married.
Yeah. Which again, I think they changed that story a couple of times during the run of the series.
But that she taught the girls before they came to Walnut Grove. So,
right.
so make sure to stay tuned. Then we will have guest actors. But I thought I just felt this was a fun episode.
It was a fun
good
episode. It's kind of a throwaway episode. It's a moment for Victor French to shine as Mr. Edwards.
Exactly. We really could have done without Ma and Pa, except for at the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
And I would have just loved more hijinks.
Ma an actual holiday.
Yeah. Because, giving her an actual holiday, let us pretend that she had an actual holiday. I just would have liked to have seen more of Mr. French chasing Carrie around.
Incidentally, this episode was directed by Leo Penn, who happens to be Sean Penn's dad, and he directs a few episodes. And I know on one of them, I think it's actually next episode, we see Sean Penn in the background. He has no lines or anything. He's just a background kid.
Oh, I'll be watching for that.
Well, but yeah, Leo Penn directed a couple episodes. So
awesome. All right. Well, let us know what you think. You can email us.
twowokebonnets@gmail.com. TWO, not two.
Or you can go to our YouTube. You go to twowokebonnets.com. You can get to our main page and you can follow us on Facebook as well as on YouTube and tell us what you think. Tell us what you want us to do different. We may not listen, but you can tell us. And we hope you enjoyed this episode.
We finally got bonnets that fit.
I know.
I'm so happy.
Bonnets. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Two Woke Bonnets. To find out more and to download your bingo card, visit twowokebonnets.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever fine video and audio podcasts are played.